December 14th, 2023. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using the NinjaTrader 8 platform. This is how I saw the charts today. There's only one piece of economic data that came out right around 5:30 Pacific Standard, which is about right here where my cursor is. And it was the core retail sales as well as the unemployment claims. It didn't really shock the market. Well, we're coming off from a very, very big rally from yesterday. So today looks like it was just kind of a consolidation day. I would say it was pretty much kind of range bound. The range was about almost 50 points, about 45 points, but even then excuse me, it was mostly kind of in a big range. There were some nice swings, but the entries I thought were a little tricky. So I took a total of 4 trades today, right here, all the boxed ones, and I was profitable on all 4. The second trade was really iffy, and I definitely think I should have skipped it in hindsight. Even after I took the trade, I think I was just running on FOMO. I kind of immediately regretted it. And then there was a trade that I think was a decent setup that I missed. So I just want to talk about the overall market structure. I tried to find a good, you know, trading range to fit things in, but it didn't really quite fit well. There were some moments of consistency touching the top, but then the bottoms weren't too clean. And so it just ended up being a lot of little swings and consolidation areas. But overall, it looked like the pre-market highs, which is roughly here, and the pre-market lows contained most of the price action. You did have this gigantic overshoot, but then it came right back in. So pre-market, there is a lot of volume. So this is the pre-market. You can already tell there's several swings and setups happening, but I don't trade the pre-market just because I'm not awake. I did see one leg up, pull back, and a second leg up. It makes a measured move, and it kind of sets up the top of the trading range. And I also found this as a potential bottom line trend line support, and this as a potential top trend line resistance, which ends up being this red channel here. Excuse me. So in the open, it comes back from the top of the range or top of the channel, comes back down. You do have a first entry, second entry, technically a third entry, but I don't see any setups that I particularly like. It kind of chops around, and this is actually where I see the first setup, and I think this is actually a decent setup, but I didn't recognize it in real time. So you have one leg down. So it's bouncing between the red channel right now. So it kind of starts from the low. You can kind of discount this just to make things fit cleaner. It hits the high, hits the low, chops around, hits the low again, comes up, tests the high, falls short, then it comes back down and tests the low. So what I saw is one leg down, pull up, a second leg down, and now touch this. It's a potential visual second entry long. So it's first entry long, second entry long. Now, why would I think about taking a trade here? It made a clean, measured move on both instances. Well, in this one instance, it's bouncing off the bottom of the red channel, which has been confirmed. The signal bar is pretty decent. It is below the EMA, which is against it, but that's okay because the EMA isn't really that pertinent at right now. I mean, it will be if it's trending, but right now it's kind of chopping above and below. And also it broke out of this green channel and it already tested the lows. So this downward green channel broke out, tested the lows. So it looks like the downtrend has played out. And this candle is only 7 ticks. Actually, it's only 5 ticks, so 7 ticks of risk. So this is probably worth a trade. I didn't take it though. It goes up, it pushes. Now I'm wondering if it's going to start following a range rules because it could be a range with a bullish bias. So I'm wondering if this is going to be a fail breakout. I'm just watching carefully. Turns out to be a failed breakout, comes back down, almost touches, but this touch might be good enough. What I saw here is a new high. It's a first entry long, second entry long. Now here, I wasn't thinking going long just yet. Although it did the same thing as this kind of repeat pattern, it broke out, came back, tested the lows. There is a second entry long here. I didn't take the trade. I wanted a little bit more confirmation because I thought it might come back down and touch this. So I wanted to make sure if I entered here, the next candle wouldn't come back down and actually stop me out by coming back down to the red or slightly below it. So it flashes up. Now I'm looking for a higher low. The higher low shows up. So I saw this higher low as a confirmation of second entry long. It's the break of this orange channel. And as I said, it's a repeat of this one right here. Broke out, tested the lows, and now it's coming back up. So I'm thinking it's going to do one of these going back up, but it didn't do it as clean as this one, reversing straight away. It reversed and it pulled back, but I'm thinking there's potentially a higher low here. And although it didn't touch the red, I considered it touching or good enough to count as a touch. So I wanted to enter, but I wanted to make sure, it's already high or low here. You don't know that this is a high or low yet. You need to see it reverse back up. So here, I still haven't taken the trade yet. I need to see confirmation that their next candle is still going to be not lower than this one. And so I finally get it. It flashes up, and as this uh, during the life of this candle, I still wasn't sure. I wanted to see it close definitive, and there's no other. I mean, this is pretty firm that this is a strong close. There's probably enough momentum to push back up. So I entered one tick above, and it gets my scalp. So that was my first trade. And prices continue moving. It's still respecting the top of this pre-market. Starts moving, chopping, and I'm wondering if it's going to bounce off the red again, but it doesn't. It just kind of breaks through. And now it kind of goes down in this green channel. I'm watching, it breaks out and it starts consolidating. I'm thinking, okay, on the big picture, it looks like it's in a range right now. And certainly I threw in this smaller blue range here. There's no setup. It feels congested, very whipsaw. It starts moving down, breaking out. So I'm watching very carefully. And here I think I see a potential setup for a channel. So I saw this as a potential top of the resistance. And here I wasn't sure where it was. I actually thought it might have been here and this could have been overshoot. So in real time at the time, I was thinking something like this. It breaks out. So I'm thinking, okay, definitely overshoot. It's crawling back. It's creating this small little reversal or small little correction. Flashes up, breaks out, comes back down, and it looks like it's holding. So I do see here, when after this close, I saw it's a new high, it's a first entry long, and it creates a second entry long that's hidden. So it's actually first entry long broke up higher, pulls back, breaks below this signal bar, and flashes right back up. So this creates this second entry long that's hidden. Now, I wasn't sure if the top of this yellow channel was actually here, or was it actually higher? But it seemed to fit pretty well here. So this could have been an overshoot. So my reluctance to go long was twofold. One, it did bounce off of here. If I take it, I'm afraid it might hit resistance here. Or if this is an overshoot, it could be a first entry long, second entry long, and then it could fail to create a second overshoot that matches this. So going long, I felt I'm fighting against this potential resistance and fighting against the structure that could trap me out. But it ends up working. Of course, you don't know that at the time. It would have been an aggressive trade because this is a very bullish bar to take. Prices then continue moving down. It confirms the purple down channel, at least on the top. It chops around. It creates a new high. It's a first entry long, second entry long, or you can count it as one first entry long, second entry long. But then here it's a little confusing. It's also a new low, first entry short, second entry short. So do you think it's going to go short? Do you think it's going to go long? I'm not too clear on it, so I had to just kind of sit it out. Pops around, it consolidates, and it flashes up, breaks out of the green channel, makes a new high. So I'm thinking the uptrend has played out, came back down. EMA rejects, it pushes prices back up, and I think there's some kind of resistance here. So I'm wondering if it's going to hit here and come flashing back down. I don't know. It's a little confusing for me, so I just had to kind of sit on my hands and consolidate. And I do see a new high. It's a first entry long, second entry long, and then it fails. Now, this is what I call an almost setup. It's almost there. I would have taken the trade if this hammer was a better signal bar. In other words, it came up and then it actually closed lower down here. Then when this candle is about to form, I'm thinking it flashes up, traps all the people going long, and it closes down below. Now here, if this candle also closed lower, closer to the EMA or below the EMA, I would have felt more confident. But here it looks like it's respecting the EMA. So it's an almost setup. It just has a few things going against it that prevents me to decide to go short on it because I'm thinking first entry short, second entry short. I'm thinking it's moving back within this potential range of the blue and blue. But there's a few things telling me it could bounce here and continue upwards. This is a very strong signal bar on the second entry long. Technically, you don't really know for sure, so I had to sit it out. And then it flashes down. It breaks out, continues back down. And I'm just sitting, watching, and waiting. So here it comes up. Let me just extend this purple one here. Okay, so it sets up another trade. It's being rejected off this purple, creates a new low, first entry short, second entry short. This technically is a new high in this localized region. You say it's first entry long, second entry long failure. So this is probably a trade because it broke out of the yellow channel, broke out and it made a new low, Or depending on how you drew it, if you don't think this is a clean enough break, then this could be a break. This is a first attempt down, and this could be creating a second attempt down. So you do have a few key entry points going for it. It's a possible trade. This is purple one rejection, second entry short, failed second entry long, and there's enough room to scalp out to the bottom. Looks like it would have worked, but I didn't take it. Consolidates, it breaks out above, comes back down. It just gets whipsawing. I'm not really sure, so I'm just sitting on my hands. This is where I take my second trade. And at the time, I think, making myself believe it was a good trade. But in hindsight, I don't think it was a good trade at all. It should have just been skipped completely. So what I saw is I considered a visual second entry short failure. So this uptrend's going up, it breaks out. It makes one attempt up, pulls back, and I'm thinking it's about to make a second attempt up. And I was thinking there's a triple test. 1, 2, 3. So you think to go short, but I was thinking there's probably a few stops here. So when it went break, first attempt down, pull up, second attempt down, really tiny, I was thinking it failed because it flashed up above. I put my order in and then it closed right below. Now in real time, I think I was convincing myself that that was a reasonable trade, but in hindsight, I see that this is a very bad trade because it's a little congested. You're near the top of this potential trading range, which is marked by this blue line. It's far from the EMA to feel like you should be going long. If anything, you could think it might go short, but if to be super sure, you need more information. I didn't have it, so I took it. It chops around and it flashes up and gives me my trade. So this is my second trade, which I know it wasn't a very good trade, and I need to avoid those in the coming future. So I lucked out on that one. It easily could have turned red on me, and there's a good reason why it should have probably turned red on me. Prices then continue moving up, chops around. I take my third trade. Now I'm a little bit more okay with this one. So you had to push up, it breaks out, and technically it makes a new low. It bounced off the bottom of the EMA, so I counted as a first entry short, pulls up. This is where you get your second entry short. Second entry short, you don't want to take a short here because this is a terrible signal bar. Flashes down, steps down, and here I'm thinking there's potential failure here. Here it confirms the failure. It's a failed second entry short. I also like that it bounced off the bottom of this yellow channel, which I drew, and it's bouncing off the EMA. So I thought, okay, this is a worthwhile trade, but I don't want to stick it one tick above here. I'm going to stick it pretty much at the high of this closing candle to give myself enough room before I potentially reach the top. So this is where my entry is. You could see. I mean, if I wanted to make sure I got filled, I probably should have put it one tick above this guy because as you can see, it's at the low. So I was lucky that I got filled here and I got out with my quick scalp. So that trade I thought was all right. Price then continue moving. It breaks through, starts trending downwards. There's nothing here that I can see to a safe entry. It breaks out, consolidates. It makes, a localized new low, and it's just kind of chopping sideways. And then it looks like it's falling downwards in a very, very organized fashion, but I didn't see any clean or safe entries to take. Keep chopping. EMA is following downwards, and then it has a very sharp downward push because I saw this in real time, and I was wondering if it was going to bounce off the pre-market lows, but it looked like it just completely ignored the pre-market lows, flashed through, breaks, and kind of starts crawling back up. And I'm thinking on the larger picture, this could be the range and this could be a failed breakout, but I don't really like this range at all because there's too much action on the top half and not very much action on the bottom half. So even though this could be a failed breakout, I wasn't going to, anticipate going long just yet. It has to be a very clean setup. And then prices continue moving. It chops and it falls into what I think is this red channel because it breaks. First, it goes up this green channel, breaks, chops around, and right now this red channel looks like it's fitting pretty well, but I don't see any setups that I particularly like. There was a second entry long here, new high, first entry long, second entry long, but this is a terrible signal bar. And in real time, when I saw this, I wasn't thinking of going long just yet because this red channel hasn't been established yet. It only gets established roughly about here, where I was playing with it and I thought, okay, maybe the top of the red channel fits here and maybe the bottom. And it could have been a spike in a channel, but in between that time, I was playing with all kinds of possibilities, like something here, something a little more shallow. I thought it was this green channel break and then maybe this other green channel. And this is actually the third trade that I take. I saw a new high. It's a first entry long pullback. I saw the second entry long possibility. I like that it was bouncing off the bottom of this of this red channel, and the EMA is holding. So when it flashed up, I jumped in, and I wasn't really sure what was going to happen. I did jump in early. I didn't wait for this to close, and it closed doji. So I thought there's a possibility I might get stopped out. But this risk is only 7 ticks, and I thought, okay, that's reasonable. So total risk is 9 ticks because it's a 7 tick bar. Flashes up, and I was able to quickly get the scalp. Prices then continue moving up, and I'm just watching and waiting. It breaks out of the red channel briefly and it hits this consolidation area, but it's getting late in the day now. And as you can see, it's getting very, very congested. This is like 47.71 to 47.67. So there's only 4 points of movement here. So I'm just watching. And it just gets too late now. So it's turning into the last 10 minutes where it just gets very whipsaw. I decided like, okay, that's pretty much it. I was able to get my 4 trades today. So I thought, okay, well, I was profitable on all 4, so I was lucky, especially with trade number 2. Just pretty much called it a day and wrapped it up. So that's how I saw the charts today. There was some trending things that were happening. There were some nice swings, but I think there were some setups that were a little tricky. So overall, not too difficult, but I did have to be a little bit more careful. So hopefully that was helpful.